Hi guys, so in this video we'll be discussing about one important concept which is almost asked in any interview, okay, in Java interview. So the important concept which we will discuss here is singleton class. So what is singleton class and how can we implement that singleton class, that we will be discussing out over here. So let's get started with the singleton class. Okay, singleton means, from the name itself you will get to know that single and it's done. Okay, so single means one single object that needs to be created at any given point of time, that is called a singleton reference. Okay, so singleton object means we will create only one single object, and if I am creating that object again and again, it's of no use, right? Why should we create multiple object? It's not required, right? So if there is only requirement of one particular object, then we should not create multiple objects for the same class. Okay, so let me tell you with an example. So let's suppose I am taking one example of writing a mail to a particular person. So that means you will open Gmail app. Okay, you will open the Gmail app and you will click on send to. Okay, you will draft one message. Okay, and you will draft one message and you will send that particular recipient whatever mail you are typing, and you are sending it across. Okay, but if you send multiple times, okay, so will it necessary to create multiple object for that? No, right? It will create only one single object to send the mail. Okay, so multiple times you are sending the mail, but it should create only one single object, that is to send the mail. So there are various features in Gmail, right? We can send a mail. Okay, so we can accept the mail. Okay, we can save it as a draft. Okay, there are a lot of features present within the Gmail. Okay, so one of that feature is sending the mail across. So for that it's necessary to create just one single object to send the mail. Okay, so the main thing is, now we have understood what is singleton. We have understood like when we are creating only one single instance at any given point of time, that is called a singleton object. But how to create a singleton object, that is the important thing. Okay, so for creating the singleton object, what are the steps? Okay, so there are basically three steps that we have to understand for creating the singleton object. Okay, so what are the steps? The first step is create a private constructor. Private constructor needs to be created. Why private constructor? So that no other class can create the object for this particular class. Okay, so for that it requires to create one private constructor. Okay, so this is very much important, to create private constructor. Now what is the next step? After creating private constructor, what is my next step, guys? There must be public static class type reference. Okay, so there should be public static class type reference. So let's suppose SC is a singleton class which you have created. So we will make use of that class, public static class type reference, and assign it to null. Okay, so initially the class type will be assigned to null. Okay, so what is my third step now? So actually this references will be assigned with static. Okay, so I don't want that this no other class can change this reference. Okay, so for that sake we will put it as private. Okay, not public. If you put it as public, then what will happen? Any other class can access this reference and they can make changes to it. So that I don't want. So I am putting it as private. Okay, so after that what we have to do, we will create one method which is of public and static type. Public static class name, okay, SC, and get instance. Okay, so this method we will be creating. So these are the three steps, and within that what we have to do, there are certain steps that we need to follow within this method. So that is very important. Okay, so what steps we need to be performing within this get instance method, that we will be learning now. So let's be writing the code for singleton. So let's suppose I am writing a code for singleton by taking one class. Let's suppose vehicle I am taking. Okay, so I am taking a class called as vehicle. Okay, so now how can we make this vehicle class a singleton class? So first of all what we have to do, first of all we will create one private constructor. Okay, private vehicle. Okay, so we have created one private constructor. That is my first step. My second step will be what? My second step will be to create one static variable reference, okay, and assign it to null. So for that we will create private static class type reference, which is vehicle reference, and we will assign it to null. Okay, so this is my second step now. This is my, that was private constructor was my first step. Creating static variable reference, class reference is my second step, and my third step will be, what is my next step now? We will be creating one method. Okay, so we will be creating one method to write the logic of this singleton. So for that we will be writing public static class name get instance. Okay, so within that what we have to write? Within that what we will write here? We will be checking the reference first. Okay, so if reference is null, what we will do over here? We will create a new instance of it and we will return it. Okay, so we will create a new instance, ref equal to new vehicle. Okay, so if reference is null, we will create a new reference, else we will directly return the reference because it's already created, so we will not create a new instance again. Okay, so this method is created. So at the end, what we will do after doing this, before ending that method, okay, before ending that method, I will return ref again. Okay, so like that if you do, you will create the method to create the logic, like the logic for writing a singleton object. Okay, so like this singleton object will be created. So every time it will go and check whether reference is null or not. It will create the instance only when reference is null, then only it will create a new instance and will return it across. So this is the way of implementing the singleton class concept. But the main issue is here. What will be my main issue is here? During multi-threading. Okay, so during multi-threading we will be understanding like what is the issue that may occur. Okay, so in single-threaded environment it will work fine. Okay, but in multi-threaded environment it will not work. Okay, so during multi-threaded environment, how can we make it work? That is, yeah, so in multi-threaded environment, how can I make it work? Okay, so that is the next most problem. In single-threaded environment it's working fine as usual. Okay, but let's suppose there are lot of threads coming parallelly and it is trying to create the object. Okay, so one thread is coming, okay, second thread is coming, third thread is coming, fourth thread is coming, like that. Let's suppose thread 1, thread 2, thread 3, thread 4, 4 threads are coming and trying to create the object of this class. Then how will that work? It will create data inconsistency, right? It will not create proper consistent result in the output, right? So which thread will it give the priority? Thread 1 or thread 2 or thread 3 or thread 4? It will be a lot of confusion, right? So to avoid this confusion, we will be modifying this code a bit so that it will work in multi-threaded environment. Okay, so what changes that we have to do to implement a singleton class in case of multi-threaded environment is very important for interview perspective. So what changes we will do here? First of all, we will make it volatile. This reference variable needs to be kept as volatile type. Why? Because normally variables which is created, it will make the changes in the existing cache memory of that particular variable reference. Okay, but the changes are not there in the main memory. The changes are there in the cache memory of that reference variable only. So let's suppose thread 1 has made some modification and thread 2 is trying to acquire the lock on this, okay, and trying to modify that reference variable. But that thread 2 will not be notified about the changes that thread 1 has done. Okay, so for that sake we have to create a volatile reference variable so that changes are done in the main memory, okay, not in cache memory. So there is like proper conversation will happen across multiple threads while we declare the reference variable as volatile. So that is the first step that we have to make change. Second thing that we have to make changes, we have to create here double check locking concept. Okay, so we have to implement double check locking so that it will check, we will double check whether the reference is exactly null or not. Okay, it will double check. So what changes we will do over here? We will remove this part, okay? We will remove this part, and here I will write it 2 times. Let's see how. So we will write if reference is equal to null, okay? Within that, what we will write over here? Within that, we will be doing synchronized this vehicle dot class. Okay, and within that we will be checking again if reference is equal to null, then only we will be creating the new instance of the class. So I hope you have got to know like what is happening over here. So first of all, I am checking whether reference is null or not. Okay, so there is a chance that at first instance multiple thread is trying to access the particular lock on that particular reference variable, so they can allow more than one thread inside. Okay, so after that I am using synchronized method. Okay, so this synchronized method helps in synchronization of all the threads, so that one thread will be allowed to go inside, not multiple threads. So here there is data consistency will occur, okay, and there will be synchronization of all the threads, so that not more than one thread can acquire the lock on one particular resource, and it will be like a one thread at a time. Okay, so within this, after synchronization, again there is a check whether reference is still null or not. So here at this instance, it is checking one thread at a time. So one thread is going inside. If it is null, it is creating the new instance. At this point of time, it is creating the object lock in such a way that other threads are not acting upon this new instance. Okay, that other threads will not be able to acquire a lock on this vehicle class. Okay, they will have to wait till thread 1 has released the object lock. Okay, so if first thread has released the object lock, it has created this is its own instance, then second thread will now be able to come inside and acquire the object lock, and then it will start to work. So like this way it will work. Okay, and this singleton concept will be implemented in multi-threaded environment as well. So that makes it different and that makes it unique. So that's why interviewer ask it multiple times. In every interview this question will be asked, okay, in some or the other way. It's one of the important design pattern, okay, which is implemented in the project as well, like Singleton Design Pattern, Factory Design Pattern, Abstract Factory Design Pattern, okay, Facade Design Pattern. These are very much important and it is implemented in the project. That's why these are asked in the interview as well. Okay, so further design patterns will be discussing in the upcoming videos. So for this video, we will be stick towards Singleton concept and how we are implementing the Singleton concept. Okay, so I hope you got the idea, you got the understanding here. So one homework I am giving it for you. So here we are making use of new keyword to create the instance. But let's suppose you don't want to create a new. Let's suppose interviewer tells you like, I don't want to create the object with the help of new keyword. Then what we will do? Okay, they can ask you. It's asked in Walmart. Okay, in Walmart is a very good product based company, so they ask this question ki, if I don't want to make use of new keyword, then how can we create the instance here in Singleton class? So just think of it. I will come up with a new video on this and how can we break the Singleton design pattern. That we will be discussing in the next part, which will be my part 2. Okay, till then stay tuned, stay connected, and we'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.